I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out.
That was the leader of America's Armed Forces, General Mike Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, just a few weeks ago talking about critical race theory on the Capitol. While he was getting his information on woke culture, the Taliban was hard at work already carrying out their plans to retake Afghanistan and wipe the map with the Afghan army that General Milley helped train. Even as those explosions went off outside the airport in Kabul yesterday, our top enlisted officer was still virtue signaling. Now, Dr. Ben Carson was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development for the Trump administration. Always good to see you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, I don't understand how people haven't already been fired. We talked, if they want to compare everything to January 6th, we certainly had firings sooner after January 6th than this. We've got 13 dead patriots in coffins with American flags draped on them on their way home right now. How is it that accountability seems to be dead in America when the blood is clearly on the hands of this administration?
Well, Joe, first of all, I would say condolences to those families who lost service members and the ones who've been injured as well. You know, this whole wokeness thing that Milley is talking about is a distraction. You know, what is the military there for? It's to protect us, to preserve our freedom, and to defeat our enemies. And when you start getting off into peripheral issues, it tends to be a major distraction. And then we need to be concerned about the leadership that we have right now. What rational leader would remove the military force before they remove the people that they're protecting? It would be sort of like if you're the president of the United States and your Secret Service says, we feel like we're in danger. Goodbye, we're leaving you. I mean, it's just craziness. And, you know, it's not the United States of America. You know, this place is an amazing place. It went from a bunch of ragtag militiamen to the pinnacle of the world in record time based on common sense and liberty and justice for all. We didn't need wokeness to get us there. And we certainly don't need it at this time in our history.
Well, to that point, the people who are doing the fighting and the dying overseas for this nation, they are all colors, all creeds. They wear one uniform, they bleed one blood, and they stand up for American exceptionalism without question. I think that should be the priority, making sure they're safe, making sure they have all they need to execute their job right now, making sure that we get those Americans home and honor our obligation to them. And yet somehow that doesn't seem like what's happening right now. We've got Sergeant Major Michael Grinston, the top enlisted man in the U.S. military yesterday, just a few hours before the attack at the airport that killed those 13 U.S. service members. He tweeted this, quote, "Diversity is a number. Do you have people that don't look or think like you in the room? Inclusion is listening and valuing those people. Hashtag Women's Equality Day reminds us we're smarter and more lethal when we come together as an exclusive, cohesive team. Our values demand it." I would say, yes, our values do demand coming together, but at the same time, we have to actually recognize the fact that those values are actually imbued with the notion of we have to make sure we survive first.
Well, you know, I think our enemies are probably delighted that we've managed to allow ourselves to be diverted into all of these other pathways without keeping our eye on the prize of what is important. What are we trying to do? What are our goals? And, you know, as far as diversity and inclusion is concerned, what we really need to be thinking about is diversity of opinions and thinking. And we need to learn how to talk to each other, not get in our respective corners and castigate each other. This is the way that we begin to make progress. Recognize that there is no my way or the highway. There is an our way. And we get there by discussing things together, looking at the facts, putting the facts in the middle of the table, and using those to arrive at a conclusion. It's called common sense, and it's something that is no longer common, unfortunately. And it's going to be us, the people. We, the people, are going to have to save this country. This country is of, by, and for the people, not of, for, and by the politicians who would very much like to control everything and control our lives. And that's what happens when we step back. And if we're going to be the land of the free, we have to be the home of the brave.
Absolutely. And we've been following this series of woke recruiting ads being put out by the Army and the CIA. Want to take a listen and then get your feedback on that.
Nothing about me was or is tragic. I am perfectly made. I can wax eloquent on complex legal issues in English while also belting Guayaquil de mis amores in Spanish. I can change a diaper with one hand and console a crying toddler with the other. I am a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial.
One of my moms had an accident that left her paralyzed. Doctors said she might never walk again. But she tapped into my family's pride to get back on her feet, eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom.
And there you have it, Dr. Carson. I mean, there's the old saying that goes, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. I think that also the saying could be said, show me your priorities and I'll tell you what outcomes you can expect. If these are the priorities of the entities that we have trusted to keep Americans safe, perhaps, unfortunately, what has occurred was inevitable.
Again, distractions. And we need to get back to some of those cornerstone principles that made this into a great nation. Our faith, liberty, community, life. And, you know, these peripheral issues, we really don't need to allow those to be distracting us at this time, or really at any time. Anybody has the right to live the way that they want to. We fought for those rights. But to try to thrust them upon everybody else doesn't make any sense. Everybody gets equal rights. Nobody gets extra rights.
Absolutely. Former HUD Secretary, Dr. Ben Carson. God bless you, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.